For 4 years, the media told you not to believe your eyes. Joe Biden was Tom Cruise. Now, after those lies were exposed and Trump won in a landslide, Jake Tapper has seen the light. He's announcing a brand new book, Original Sin: President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again.
I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
you are
to
no
watch somebody on stage search for
that's so
questions
amazing. It's so amazing to me
and try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline. You were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
But he does. This is like when OJ wrote, "If I Did It." What a great deal. Jake gets paid when he's wrong and when he's right. He's like a weatherman. The Biden cover-up exposed just how badly the media needs a shakeup. Change isn't coming. It's already here. And the entire media establishment better buckle up.
You have a group of journalists based here in Washington, D.C., who dictate which reporters go into the most intimate spaces of the American presidency. That system hasn't changed since the early 1900s. Obviously, the media today in 2025 looks a heck of a lot different. Legacy media will still have a seat, just like they still have a seat in our briefing room, but we're going to bring new voices into the fold.
The Associated Press just got banished from the Oval Office, and a Trump judge sided with Trump. NBC's in trouble. Lester Holt's out at the nightly news, while Joy Reid and a bunch of other far-left hosts were fired. And on Monday, Rachel Maddow basically called her boss a racist for firing a black woman. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos is turning the Washington Post into the Wall Street Journal. Listen to this. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. Washington Post columnist Phil Bump said, "What the actual F?" And then the opinion page editor resigned. Gavin Newsom's looking around and he sees the writing on the wall. There's no way he can get the Democrat nomination in this toxic mainstream media bubble, so he's branching out. Like Hillary, he's going on a listening tour. He's launched his own podcast and wants to talk to people with common sense now.
We need to change the conversation. And that's why I'm launching a new podcast. And this is going to be anything but the ordinary politician podcast. I'm going to be talking to people directly that I disagree with, as well as people I look up to. Real conversations. What's going on with the cost of eggs? What are the impacts, real impacts to you around tariffs? What power does an executive order really have? And what's really going on inside of Doge? In the first few weeks, we're going to be sitting down with some of the biggest leaders and architects in the MAGA movement.
White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt joins us now. Karoline, will you be joining Newsom soon, too, on his podcast?
Hey, I haven't received an invitation yet, Jesse, but well, look who decided to wake up and smell a little bit of common sense. And this is the Donald Trump playbook, I may add. President Trump owned this non-traditional media lane during the campaign. He sat down for a plethora of podcasts with big names, having real conversations with real people. And it was clearly a winning strategy. We welcome the Democrats aboard, but there's a lot of legacy media outlets in this city who are still not welcoming podcast hosts and non-traditional media voices. They're a little upset about the changes we've made at the White House, but they are welcome to cover this administration.
Yeah, I mean, the Associated Press says you're restricting access to the president and you're restricting access of the free press.
It's a very hard argument to make when the president of the United States holds press conferences himself for more than an hour, sometimes multiple times a day, and takes questions from an array of journalists from outlets on the left and on the right. This is the most accessible and transparent administration in history, and anybody who just watches the television can see that, except for the Associated Press, I guess. Even a judge, a federal judge in Washington, D.C., sided with us in saying that the Associated Press or any outlet does not have a legal right to go into the Oval Office and ask the president questions. It is a privilege, and it's a privilege that has unfortunately been restricted by this group of D.C.-based journalists who call themselves the White House Correspondents Association and have had a monopoly over the White House and its press access. Not anymore. Yesterday, we announced that the the White House is now going to control the pool rotation of reporters who get to fly on Air Force One, get to go into the Oval Office and ask President Trump questions. And we are going to keep the legacy media outlets around because we're not afraid to take questions from anybody. But we're also going to add those new voices in the mix who deserve to be there and who are excited about the privilege of enjoying this Trump administration and asking the President of the United States questions.
Well, there's a lot to enjoy, but before we let you go, Karoline, how honorable is it for Jake Tapper to participate in the Joe Biden cover-up and then get paid to write a book about the Joe Biden cover-up?
Kudos to Jake, because as you said, he was paid for lying. Now I guess he's paid for finally telling the truth. But he owes Laura Trump, my dear friend and the daughter-in-law of the president, an apology. You played the clip, and he tried to get the American people not to believe our own eyes. And there's a lot more journalists in this city who did as well. They lost a lot of credibility because of it, and Jake Tapper is surely one of them.
Well, he lost credibility, but then he got a big paycheck for it. Thank you very much, Karoline. Good to see you, and keep up the great work at these briefings.